want me to say something? Fine. I'll say something. You people. You're not a race. You are a virus. You destroy the world. Everything beautiful you poison. You drag us from our homes. You rape our daughters, murder our sons. You crack our spines and do all you can to break our will. You stab us. Then you put the knife in our hand and tell us it's our fault. And if you don't do it yourself, you stand by, close your eyes, and pretend there's nothing wrong. And then you pray to your God to silence our screams so that you can enjoy the happiness that we built for you with our blood. But it's not your fault. It's the only way you know how to be. And the only thing that will change anything is if another virus comes along and does to you what you do to us. And I hope that happens very soon. Wow.
Giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners, and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Ayashar Barazal, a prophet of doom from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone, coming back at you with another lesson that is edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. And before I get into this article, I just want to declare fair use, according to the Copyright Act of 1976, as stipulated under Section 107. There is no monetary gain from this video. It's strictly for the use of teaching and educational purposes to the elect of the body of Israel. All right. So, open the scripture, for our camps, another install one of our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. And it is Obadiah 1 and 10. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right. And this is talking about the extreme violence that Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, who is the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4, the amount of violence that he has inflicted on the Israelites, mainly Judah, since we've been over here. Okay. Judah being the southern kingdom of Israel, your so-called Negroes, your Haitians, and your West Indians or your Jamaicans. Okay. Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, 3 tribes of the southern kingdom of Israel. All right. And they have, have been putting hell on us since we've been over here. All right. Going all the way back to the Renaissance period. All right. And again, it's talking about, this devil, as I showed in the beginning of the video. This individual is the devil in the flesh. He is the physical manifestation of Satan. No other way around it, no way to cut it. He's matching up to all of those characteristics in the scriptures, as I'm going to show you. All right. It says his shame is going to cover him. And yeah, he's being exposed. 365, 24/7. Once this awakening started about who the real Israelites were, his kingdom has been crumbling. And that's why they hate so-called woke. As long as you sleep, they're okay, because you're not aware of what's going on. Well, Romans 13:11 says, now it's high time for us to wake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than what we believe. And that is the absolute truth. All right? Everything, all the prophecies that the Lord that's in the scriptures are coming to pass. Look at how angry they get. All right? Once you sure not, and then they try to gaslight you and say that we're racist. We don't control anything. We have no power. Prejudice, yeah, all the power was taken out of our hands, according to the curses. Okay, this is His world. The earth was given into the hands of the wicked, and the wicked once again is Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, and he is not white; he is red. Okay, white. When you go into the etymology of that word, it means without moral impurity, and his history it totally contradicts that, as we're seeing daily, especially with the head of his tribe, Amalek, over there in the state of Israel right now. All right? Just ruthless robbery, murder, and destruction and death. All right? And the earth needs to be rid of him, which it is going to be. All right? He says, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So yeah, there is an expected end, not only to your rulership, but to your nation. Thus saith the scriptures. Okay? Your nation. You will be blotted out forever. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17 through 19 talks about Amalek, who are the people in the state of Israel right now, those descendants as well as Ukraine. All right? They are the head tribe. All right? And once the head goes, the rest of the body follows. The whole nation is going to be done away with. You can get this in the same chapter, right in verse 18, Obadiah 1 and 18, while I'm here. Okay? It says, and the house of Jacob, the southern kingdom, shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph, the northern kingdom, a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai have spoken it. These are the words of the Lord. He is getting rid of you by the hand of his people, Israel. All right? He is getting rid of you after you serve. All right? Twice as long and twice as hard as we did, but in righteousness, okay? We won't be doing this sadistic, defiling stuff that you all did to us. Like, cutting babies out of the womb, cutting off a man's rod, buck breaking, none of that stuff. All right? You will be rid of this earth, nothing but a dream. All right? So the world is sick of you. Even the animals, I'm seeing videos every day. Like that lady got beat up by that deer the other day. The whole earth is sick of you. And the scriptures say, destroy him that destroys the earth. That's you, all day long. All right. So without further ado, let me get into this article. One of our notable sites that we get the majority of our, a lot of our topics from. This is the Philadelphia race riot of 1918. All right. It says the 1918 race riot in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania began on July 26, 1918, 2 days after an African-American woman, Adela Bond, moved into her new home in a primarily white area of South Philadelphia. On the evening of July 26, a large crowd of white people gathered outside Bond's home. As tensions arose within the crowd, someone threw a rock through Bond's window. Bond responded by firing a pistol into the air to call for help from the police, but she unintentionally hit and injured Joseph Kelly, one of the men in the crowd outside. Rioting began in earnest with Kelly's shooting, and several people were arrested when the police arrived. And here again, you don't want Jake around you didn't want us in your neighborhoods. So when we're off by ourselves doing well, you came in and destroyed it. During this time, that was prevalent during this time. It's still a time. It's still, you still do it now. You cannot stand to see Jake to be happy, despite the fact he is not afforded all the privileges and luxuries that you have in this world. You know, and I'll keep going back to that damn Constitution of the United States in the preamble. You know, I'm not going to recite the whole thing, but when it gets down to the part it says, to ourselves and to our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America, that word posterity is huge. Remember, this thing was written in September of 1787. Where was Jake at that time? In slavery. But to ourselves and to our posterity means the progenitor of a nation to all future generations of that progenitor. Okay? It says it in the scriptures in Psalms 109, and same definition in the modern dictionary. So when it says that, it's very clear who this country was for. In the same fashion, Micah 2:10 tells us that this place is not our rest. Okay? We're here on punishment. Okay, for the transgressions, according to the curse of Deuteronomy the 28, 68. All right, 64. All right. We're here to serve out a punishment, and Jake is still trying to make it in a place that's going to be destroyed according to the scriptures. All right. So yeah, they gathered around her house. Okay. Throwing rocks through her window. Back to the article. It says rioting continued on Saturday, July 27th, when a group of white men accused an African American man, William Box, of theft. And that's always the case. You know, say you did something and make it stick. That's that propaganda. All right. Attempting to defend himself, Box cut one of his attackers on the arm. His self-defense enraged the mob, who attacked him and attempted to lynch him when the police arrived and arrested Box for assault. Now, they attacked him, accused him, attacked him, and he got arrested. Same story, like that guy on that dock when all those Edomites jumped him. The state turned around and charged him, and he's doing his job. We have to get out of this place, you know, but when we do, he's going to have to pay for those crimes. All right. They arrested him for defending himself, and that's the thing. They don't want Jake to defend himself. And when we look at all of these for that violence against that brother Jacobs, it's the same playbook. Either Esau has to outgun you, or he has to outman you, or you have to be a woman and a child or a child. There's some of them who have some skills, but for the most part, they are fucking cowards. Okay? As the scriptures say, one people shall be stronger than the other. You know? That's talking about the Israelites stronger than him in Genesis 25. All right? It says additional clashes occurred between blacks and whites on July 28th. White mobs attacked African Americans throughout South Philadelphia, causing many injuries. Ironically, 2 white men were shot to death during this violence. By the end of the day, 250 police and volunteer police were patrolling the streets, and we know who they were really patrolling. We see that today. All right. Because this really didn't happen. That whoever sold them that house had to know that, you know, what was going to be the outcome of that. But you don't hear anything about it. They didn't go after that person. All right. Back in the article, it says White attacks on black Philadelphians escalated on the fourth day of the riot, Monday, July 29th, prompting police captain William Mills to close all saloons in the area and enlist the help of 65 sailors and 15 Marines from the local federal arsenal. And we know, we don't even have to ask. History proves who they were really keeping their eye on. Okay? Back to the article. The 29th also saw the only reported killing of a black man during the riot. Riley Bullock was arrested by police officers Roy Ramsey and John Snyder. While in police custody, Bullock was beaten and shot. Ramsey and Snyder claimed he was shot by an escaping black inmate, but it was later proven that Bullock was shot with Ramsey's gun. See how they lie? Psalms 58:3. The wicked are estranged from the room, soon as estranged from the womb, soon as they be born, speaking lies. All right. Says Ramsey and Snyder were also in the beating of another black man that day, Preston Lewis, who was beaten so badly by the officers that he had to be taken to a local hospital. While in the hospital, Snyder began beating Lewis again and was restrained by other white and black police officers who stepped in and removed Snyder from the room. Both Lewis's and Bullock's incidents would become the subject of racial tension between the Philadelphia Police Department and the city's African American community in the years to come. And that's everywhere. That's just not isolated to Philadelphia. We saw that in that Spike Lee movie. Man, the name escapes me right now. With Mookie and what it featured? Featured that Public Enemy song, "Fight the Power." The name escapes me right now. I don't know why. I've seen it a couple times back in the early '90s. Spike Lee, Samuel Jackson, so on and so forth. All right. It says by July 30th, the major rioting had subsided and only a few incidents were reported. Over the 4 days of rioting, 60 African Americans were arrested compared to only 3 whites. Go figure. Okay? Although many witnesses, black and white, claim that the whites were the main instigators. And they always are. Always. You have a problem not staying in your space. All right? You cannot leave people and nature alone. You always have to investigate something, make it different from what it was intended to be. That shit's got to come to a stop. It is going to come to a stop. All right? It says 4 people, 3 whites and 1 black, were dead or would soon die, and many more were injured. All right? You go ahead and get some scriptures and put to this. All right. This is the book of Amos, chapter 1, verse 11. And it reads, "Thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, for 3 transgressions of Edom and for 4." It said, those transgressions, that's sin, okay? It says, "I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword," and we know that was Esau's blessing, going back to Genesis 27, 38 through 41, and he is the sword of the Lord. Salakia, the wicked is the sword of the Lord, according to Psalms 17:13. Okay? It says, "Because he did pursue his brother with the sword and did cast off all pity." He had no mercy. No mercy for Jake. The man was already in the hospital. And you go in there and you beat the shit out of him. It says, "His anger did tear perpetually, continually, and never stopped. And he kept his wrath forever." That was 1918. We're saying the same thing to this very day. To this very day. All right? This is Book of Lamentations, 4 and 18. It says, it reads, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. And I'm sure that's how that woman felt. You know, you done bought a new house and it's surrounded by folks. Can't even go outside. You know, although this is talking about another time, but it's the same thing today. You know, the scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, and that's how you feel, you know, when you're in the midst of nothing but those devils. You know, look at how many times Jake has, like that lady that went to that sleepover. Nobody knows what the hell happened to her. She was the only Jake there and the only one that died. Ain't nowhere in the hell you should be going nowhere alone. And she was in one of those sundown towns in Georgia. Just dumb. That's because you trust your enemy. You know, you get what you get. All right. So yeah, I mean, sure I don't know the rest of the story if she moved out or what. But damn, you move somewhere and nice, minding your own business, and they come bother you. That's like in that that Amazon Prime series called Them. Very, very good. The first season, very, very good. Movie. You know, if you get a chance to check it out, Them on Amazon Prime. All right. So yeah, this is the Book of Psalms, chapter 10, and begin in verse 8. Okay. It said, and it reads, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. And you've seen that, those clips on social media. No matter what you be doing, there's always some a white person in your business, so-called white person. They don't know how to leave Jake alone. They hate to see Jake at peace, especially when things aren't going well from them. As this whole thing with Trump is backfiring, you should see some of the stuff they're saying in these videos. You know, they want to blame Jake for something he had no control over. Your guy is in office. You put him in there. And I would not advocate voting. That's something we don't do as Israelites. We're not supposed to vote. Okay? That's in the law. All right? Deuteronomy 17 and 15. All right? That's in the law. Let me just double check that to make sure I get the quoting. Make sure I got the right address. Yes, Deuteronomy 17:15. All right? We're not supposed to be voting. All right? So back to that Psalms, chapter 10. Yeah, his eyes are, privily set against the poor. Verse 9. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor, and he doth catch the poor when he draweth them into his net. Moving into that neighborhood, knowing doggone well, they didn't want her there. Whoever sold it to her. I'm sure Jake wasn't a real estate agent at that time. He's always waiting to cause Jake a problem. That's that perpetual hatred. Going all the way back to, like I said, in Genesis 27, 38 through 41. All right. Perpetual hatred. Okay. Says he croucheth and humble himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones. And who is his strong ones? They were mentioned all throughout that article. The police, the different factions of the military. You see how many Jake got arrested and how many didn't. All right. Verse 11. He hath said in his heart, with heart meaning his mind, says, Yahweh hath forgotten, He hideth his face, he will never see it. And we know that's not the case. You know, this devil has his appointed time, which is very close. You know, as the Lord said, the wicked is reserved for the day of destruction, and the day of wrath he will be brought forth. Roughly paraphrasing. Job 21 and 30. Okay? So there's an appointed time that he's going to be dealt with. All right? And the reason he's doing that because his judgment isn't happening right now. You know? So this is Psalms 73 and 5. He says, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued as other men. Well, it's their world right now. You know? And because of that, verse 6, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence cover them as a garment. They worse and worse because there is no penalty. Currently no penalty for what they do. But it's, you know, the thing is, you know, you have to give an account for all of your actions. You know, the Lord is just saving you to the end. And it's going to be ugly. Very ugly. And you're not going to know what to do. See, everything you all trying to do to Jake from, you know, the president on down, you know, this is stuff that we're used to. You know, policy-wise. Last one hired, first one fired. All those DEI things he did, you know, and with respect to employment, that impacted you all more than it did us, the Israelites. Jake was the last on the totem pole according to the Department of Labor statistics. You're not built for this stuff. Because right now you think equality is oppression. Jake loses a job, he go find another one. He don't go shoot up his family, shoot up the building, shoot up schools, parks. You know, even if it's something totally out of his area of expertise. But not you. You lose it. Because that's that entitlement. You're supposed to have that job. And you are the real D. You're the most unqualified. We find that out a lot. You know, I'm in college. How was those kids doing so well? Very, very crafty. You know, they had test files from years and years and years. All right, most of them would get a job as a janitor in a building, have a key to that to those test files. Y'all wasn't that damn smart. You know, where there was a will, there was a way that you can get it done as easily as possible, which meant cheating. All right. So yeah, it says, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. It's all over you. Every time you show up, you know some shit is bad. That's why in that same book of Obadiah says that you're going to be made small amongst the heathen. You have been exposed. You are a terrible virus on this earth. All right, straight up. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. It's in the Apocrypha, verse 11. I go straight to the point. It says, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Pretty much, you know that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who is the wicked? Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. All right, you know it's him. All right, and that's what they do. Our strength, that strength in numbers. Okay, when it comes to individuals, or the strength in our military. All right, and Jake better watch out, because I read about those militia clauses um, years ago, going about 10 years ago. All right, and you seeing that anybody's being deputized as ICE agents. And I just heard on a report yesterday, allegedly, um, with the phones. When you go get a new phone, you have to show your ID. Yeah, it has been alleged that the company Samsung is giving away immigrants, giving them the locations. Yeah, something else, huh? All right. This is a book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 21. I'm going to get that in the NLT too. Start at verse 21. It says, Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. Verse 22. All right. So yeah, you're going to be exposed. And this judgment is coming your way. All right. Verse 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. That's talking about the Israelites. We're getting very close to that salvation. As beloved Elder Apostle Dahar declared, 2025 is the year of the deliverance of the elect and the judgment and destruction of Esau, Edom. All right. It says, He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. All right. Let's get it in the NLT. It's on the right-hand side. And it says, Are you rejoicing in the land of Uz, O people of Edom? Yeah, live it up. Live it up. Enjoy it. Because all hell's going to break loose in a short time. He says, But you too must drink from the cup of the Lord's anger. You too will be stripped naked in your drunkenness. O beautiful Jerusalem, your punishment will end. You will soon return from exile. But Edom, your punishment is just beginning. And you can see that right now. Just look on these social media platforms. Talk about MAGA regret, and the one thing where, you can see the hatred where that guy, Rodney Hinton, they wanted him executed on the spot, but it didn't happen. Same thing with this Carmelo Anthony kid in Texas, two twin bully Edomites, and they charged them. We're not surprised with what the state charged them with. That's, this land is not our rest once again. All right. We expect Jake to get the short end of the stick when it comes to those judgments from this system. Jake is always going to get the book thrown at him. All right. It says, but Edom, your punishment is just beginning. Soon your sins will be exposed, and that's happening around the clock, which is why, they're going to have to get rid of the internet. This guy is hurt. This nation of people is absolutely hurt because of their history. Everything's catching up with them. They can't hide anymore. Lord said, I've made Esau bare. Okay? He cannot hide. All right, I'll close off with this one. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13. Began at verse 9. And it reads, If any man have an ear, let him hear. If any man have understanding, let him understand. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right, and that key word in there is sword. That was your blessing, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, according to Genesis chapter 27. Yeah, the sword was your blessing, and it's simply a killing instrument. You know, the one most notable today is your modern day gun. It can be in your medicines, anything to bring harm or death. That's what a sword is in the scripture, and you control all of that right now. All right, and it says, "Here is the patience and the faith of the saints." Who are the saints? The Israelites. Okay, according to Psalms 148, 13 and 14. Let me get that. Okay. It says, "Let them praise the name of the Lord." And who was them? The Israelites. Okay. The name was only given to the Israelites. Okay. Exodus 3. All right. 15. It says, "For his name alone is excellent. His glory is above the earth and the heaven. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints." There's the saints. "Even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai." So, yeah, time's running out for you, Esau, Edom, you Cancer. This is just one of many events that we know of and the things that we don't know of that you will have to give an account for in that day of judgment. And it's not going to be pretty. All right. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying to the elect body of the nation of Israel. Once again, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rahach HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching me this 100% truth. Salutations to them and my fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, Abab Abal. We got next. Shalom.